Hey, it's Dave with Cross Current TV. We try to come up with some topics that not everybody has thought of. This episode, I'm going to try to show you guys some really cool way to make some steelhead beads. These are more for smaller rivers. They could be deep, but they may not be very a big target. So you want to get it down, get it on the bottom, and kind of get it within the fish real quick. And sometimes you don't achieve that with like yarn flies or leech patterns. There are a few things you need. You can pretty much get them almost at every craft store. For like me, just be embarrassed and send the wife into the craft stores because I don't like to be seen in the craft stores. But anyways, Sculpey Clay is the clay that we use, and you can get it in pretty much almost any color you can think of, actually even clear. It's a drill with a 1/16 inch drill bit. To make clay beads a little bit tougher, I usually spray it with a clear enamel at the end of it. Some kind of a cutting device, I just use like kind of a long razor. It doesn't need to be too sharp, it's just easy to go through the clay. It's a bead baking rack. A lot of people build jewelry and stuff like that, and they're also good for fishermen who make beads. These guys are just needles. And one last thing is you're gonna need a Hefeweizen. So making these things are pretty simple, and it's actually pretty fun to do. Instead of making beads for like trout and making them realistic looking, you can just kind of go crazy with the colors here, just because steelhead, for the most part, you fish them as an attractor pattern. And I roughly go between a 12 millimeter up to a 14 millimeter size beads. So you can kind of experiment with the actual size you need. What I usually end up doing is I start off with just a piece of clay, and you don't need a lot of it. So I usually just kind of cut a little bit off. Throw a sticky yellow as well in there. For some reason I always like green in there. So it works really good as both light and dark colors. So get a little mixture of each one of them. When you're rolling these things out, always roll the colors that are the lightest out, because if you start rolling the dark colors out first and then you start moving into the lighter colors, they usually bleed on your fingers, and then you kind of smear the colors a little bit. So just kind of start with like the yellows, kind of rolling them into these long little lines here. And orange. When you get done, just kind of pair them together. Greens, red, and then a blue too. So once you get all your colors together like that, I usually don't like mashing them all together because they bleed together a little too much. So literally what I do is I just take them and then just kind of twist them. Twist them kind of tight like that. Give them a little bit of a roll to them. And as you can see, none of the colors bleed together. They stay real vibrant and they stand out from each other. So then after that is just kind of cut them into chunks. And then once you got them into chunks, just kind of roll them with your fingers until you get the right size bead. And just by eyeballing this one, this is going to be about a 12 millimeter bead. And once you get those down, you're going to take your little needles. Like I said, you can actually put these directly right onto a pan, but if you let them sit on a pan for a while and you pick them up, they usually have a little bit of a flat spot on them. So once you get these things, you just kind of try to center punch it the best you can. And you can put a few of them on each rack. You just kind of put them on your rack like that, your bacon rack. The beads range from about a 12 millimeter all the way up to a 14 millimeter. You're gonna have to kind of experiment which ones you like that sink a little bit better. You just preheat your oven, about 275. And for a 6 millimeter bead, they say you gotta cook it for 15 minutes. You would think that you'd cook it for twice as long, but I wouldn't recommend that, or you're gonna end up having a whole bunch of little char beads in there. So usually about between 17 and 20 minutes for like these size beads is about perfect. So we got 15 or 20 more minutes left to kill, so I'm gonna probably finish this Hefeweizen and watch some fish porn courtesy of Cass, Alaska. All right, so I got carried away watching fishing, and I burnt the other beads. So these are the ones I actually already had earlier coming out of the oven. So basically, once you pull the beads out of the oven, they usually look like this. They do shrink down a little bit. You should pull them off the needle that you have them on. And the hole the needle usually makes is usually not big enough to either, peg them with a toothpick or a rubber band or whatever you use. So once you get your bead out of the oven, What I usually use is a drill, and it's just a 1/16 inch drill bit, and it's like the perfect size for these beads. So you just kind of line it up the best you can, and then that'll make the perfect size hole. You want to make sure you go straight through, because even if you have a hole drilled through them, you can get a little off canter. So don't put too much pressure on it, just kind of line it up with the first hole and just kind of slide it through. And then just kind of wallow it out a little bit, and it gives you a nice smooth hole that goes clear through the center of the bead. You're just going to need your styrofoam block, and then usually just take your toothpick and just kind of space them out on your styrofoam. Space them out enough to where when you spray them with your clear coat, they're not touching each other or anything. Just a crystal clear coat. You just got to do it outside. Spray them on both sides, give them about 10 or 15 minutes to dry, and then usually spray them again, 2 or 3 coats. Once you get done spraying it with your clear coat, this is basically what it comes out like. And that right there is a killer for fall fishing for steelhead. These things are designed for getting in those little quick pockets that aren't very long, maybe a little bit deeper. You'll see these steelhead just kind of laying in these little slots, and these things do a lot better getting down than yarn flies. Sinks quick, holds a lot of color, and it also keeps a pretty good size to it, so it doesn't flatten out or get skinny or anything like that. It stays big and bright. If they're down there feeding, they're gonna bite on this guy. When fishing gets a little bit tougher, I usually switch from bright color beads down to dark color beads. This guy right here we named the Incredible Hulk, and it brings in monsters. These are our Jerry Garcia beads, because they're crazy. Literally the sky is the limit. I mean, you can make just about anything you can think of as far as color combinations. These are one of my original ideas, and thanks for watching Cross Current TV, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
At Cross Current TV, we want to hear from you. We'll take your questions and ideas posted to our Facebook or YouTube pages and use them for future episodes. And click here to check out the trailer for our first fly fishing adventure movie, Cast Alaska, available now on DVD.
Slide it through. Cut. She's just killing me. One more outburst, you're out here. One more outburst, you're out. Okay? All right. All right. Was that what you wanted? All right.